Valley women getting their hands dirty, working to increase the number of women in the automotive industry. Jen Wall joining us live from the Girl Gang Garage in Phoenix. Jen, that's a great name, even better mission.
There is a particular kind of television that sneaks up on you. It doesn't arrive with a thunderous marketing campaign or a celebrity name on the poster. It just shows up one weekend morning, a small crew of women in a Phoenix garage, and quietly begins dismantling every assumption you ever had about who belongs under a hood. That was All Girls Garage in 2012. And over a decade later, the women who built that show, and the ones who joined it along the way, have stories that go far beyond what any camera ever fully captured. This is the real story of what happened to the cast of All Girls Garage. Not just the Wikipedia summary version, but the full picture, the career pivots that made sense, the departures that stung, the health battles that nobody saw coming, and the one loss that the automotive world is still grieving. Buckle up, because this is a long road, and every mile of it is worth taking. Before diving into the individuals, it's worth spending a moment understanding what All Girls Garage actually represented when it debuted on March 3, 2012 on what was then the Velocity Network. The automotive television space had been dominated for years by the same general formula: loud personalities, louder machines, and an overwhelming assumption that the audience was male and the talent was male and the expertise was male. Shows like Top Gear, Fast and Loud, and Overhaulin' were enormously entertaining, but they existed in a cultural bubble that rarely acknowledged women as serious participants in car culture, only as admiring bystanders or decorative props. All Girls Garage was a direct challenge to that bubble. The concept was simple and radical at the same time: a real working automotive shop, run by certified female technicians, tackling real builds and repairs on camera. No gimmick, no "isn't it cute that they can use a wrench" framing. Just competence. The original trio, Sarah Bogey Latina, Jessie Combs, and Christy Lee, were not actresses hired to play mechanics. They were the actual article. ASE certifications, years of shop experience, technical knowledge that could hold its own with any professional in the industry. The show filmed at Bogey's real shop in Phoenix, Arizona, which meant viewers were watching genuine work happen in a genuine environment. That authenticity is what made the show last. Networks can manufacture drama, but they cannot manufacture skill, and skill is what All Girls Garage ran on. If you want to understand All Girls Garage, you have to start with Bogey. She is the one constant in the show's entire history, present from the very first episode, still turning wrenches today, and in many ways the reason the show has the soul it has. Born on December 15, 1977, in Flushing, Queens, New York, Bogey's path to the garage was anything but obvious. Her family expected a professional career, and for a while, she delivered on that expectation, graduating from Oberlin College with a degree in law and society and women's studies and moving toward a future in law. Then something got in the way: a beat-up Volkswagen Bug and a string of infuriating experiences at repair shops that treated her like she was incapable of understanding her own car. Rather than accepting that treatment as normal, Bogey decided to remove herself from the equation entirely. She enrolled at the Universal Technical Institute in Phoenix to become a mechanic. The decision shocked people who knew her. It made perfect sense to Bogey. She completed the BMW STEP program and spent years as a dealer technician, gaining the kind of deep technical foundation that most people can only get through years of repetitive hands-on work. By 2006, she had a different kind of ambition: a shop of her own, built around a culture that was actually welcoming to women, as customers and as professionals. She started fixing cars in her own driveway. That driveway operation eventually became 180 Degrees Automotive in Phoenix, a legitimate shop that by 2011 had crossed the $1 million annual sales mark and earned her the Phoenix Business Journal's 40 Under 40 recognition and the Spirit of Enterprise Award from Arizona State University's W.P. Carey School of Business. The name 180 Degrees was intentional. It represented a complete turn away from the way automotive culture had traditionally operated. When All Girls Garage came calling in 2012, Bogey already had everything the show needed: the credentials, the shop, and the mission. She has been the anchor of the series ever since, and what she has built around it is genuinely remarkable. In 2016, she launched Girl Gang Garage, a collaborative space designed specifically to give women of all experience levels access to high-end custom builds and professional training. The organization has been responsible for ambitious projects that have turned heads at SEMA, the auto industry's premier annual showcase. Beyond the builds, Bogey has invested heavily in pathways, scholarships for women pursuing careers in the trades, speaking engagements, and her podcast Trades Lady Happy Hour, which addresses the gender gap in skilled trades with a directness that the broader industry still hasn't quite caught up to. Her estimated net worth sits around the $5 million mark, the product of her shop business, television work, brand partnerships, and public speaking. But the more interesting measure is her influence, which has extended well beyond Phoenix. She has appeared on Garage Squad alongside Bruno Mars and Joe Zolpa, continued building the girl gang garage community, and remained a visible, vocal advocate for transforming the culture of automotive work from the inside out. There is a version of this story where Jessie Combs left All Girls Garage in 2014 to chase a bigger dream and eventually conquered it. That story is true. There is also a version where that dream cost her everything. That story is also true. Both versions exist simultaneously, and that is what makes Jessie Combs' story so difficult to hold. Born on July 27, 1980, in Rockville, South Dakota, Jessie had a quality that is genuinely rare, the kind of magnetic, kinetic energy that makes people want to watch whatever she is doing. After earning a fabrication degree from Wyotech, she built her television career with a relentlessness that matched her approach to racing. She hosted Extreme 4x4 for more than 90 episodes, appeared on Overhaulin', and filled in on Mythbusters when Kari Byron went on maternity leave. She was a legitimate presence before All Girls Garage ever aired. Her time on the show, from 2012 to 2014, is remembered as foundational. The chemistry between her, Bogey, and Christy was real. 3 different personalities, 3 different skill sets, unified by a shared commitment to doing the work properly and on camera without pretense. When she left, she wasn't walking away from anything. She was running toward something specific. Jessie had become consumed by land speed racing. In 2013, at the wheel of the North American Eagle Supersonic Speed Challenger, a jet-powered vehicle running on 52,000 horsepower, she set the official women's 4-wheel land speed record at 398.954 miles per hour in Oregon's Alvord Desert. That number only fueled the obsession. The goal became the overall women's land speed record, which had stood at 512.710 miles per hour since 1976 when American stuntwoman Kitty O'Neill had set it, also in the Alvord Desert. On August 27, 2019, Jessie returned to that same stretch of Oregon desert to finally take the record. The day went well. She completed 2 required runs in opposite directions, achieving an average speed that her team submitted to Guinness World Records. Then, during a subsequent run, at a speed approaching 550 miles per hour, the front wheel of the North American Eagle experienced a mechanical failure, most likely from striking an object on the dry lake bed. The front wheel assembly collapsed. According to the investigation conducted by the Harney County Sheriff's Office, Jessie died from blunt force trauma to her head before the vehicle caught fire. She was 39 years old. In June 2020, Guinness World Records posthumously certified her final run at 522.783 miles per hour, officially making Jessie Combs the fastest woman on Earth. Her partner, Terry Madden, who was among the first to reach the crash site, wrote publicly that no record could ever be worth her absence, but that he was proud of her for achieving something she had spent years building toward. 2 days before the crash, Jessie had posted on Instagram, "People say I'm crazy. It may seem a little crazy to walk directly into the line of fire. Those who are willing are those who achieve great things." The automotive community has been carrying those words ever since. If Bogey is the heart of All Girls Garage, Christy Lee is the embodiment of what happens when someone refuses to be confined to a single lane. Born on October 21, 1977, and raised in Daytona Beach, Florida, where her father Barry McCoy ran an automotive shop and held BMW Master Technician certification, Christy grew up with grease in her DNA. But she also grew up with a range of talents that never stayed contained to one industry. Before automotive television, Christy worked as a radio DJ at WIF in Detroit and joined the Detroit Pistons official dance team, Automotion, in 2006. She moved to Detroit in 2005 partly to invest in real estate, a thread that would become increasingly important later in her career. When All Girls Garage found her, she was already a multi-hyphenate, mechanic, media personality, motorsports enthusiast, and the show gave her a national platform she used aggressively. During her years on the show, from 2012 through 2019, Christy simultaneously built a career as a motorsports reporter covering the X Games, World Superbike events, off-road truck racing, and Barrett-Jackson collector car auction coverage for Fox Sports, NBC Sports Network, and ESPN. She became one of the most recognizable faces in automotive broadcasting, the kind of presence that networks call when they need someone who can talk intelligently about a car build and then jump in front of a live audience at a major event without missing a beat. Her departure from All Girls Garage was not contentious. She had bigger things to do, and the trajectory of her career made the transition feel logical. In 2022, HGTV gave her a show of her own, Steal This House, in which she applied her eye for automotive restoration to home renovation, finding undervalued properties in Detroit and transforming them into genuinely impressive homes. The crossover made sense. The problem-solving instincts, the ability to look at something broken and envision what it could become, the comfort with hands-on work. Those skills don't belong to only one industry. Then 2023 arrived, and with it something nobody expected. While traveling in Arizona for work in January 2023, Christy experienced what she initially assumed was a severe headache. What followed was a diagnostic process that ultimately confirmed two related autoimmune conditions, Graves' disease and thyroid eye disease. Graves' disease causes the immune system to attack the thyroid gland, producing hyperthyroidism. The thyroid eye disease, TED, caused significant inflammation and visible changes around her eyes. In her own words, the experience broke her. She underwent 2 eye surgeries, saw nearly 20 different doctors, and dealt with 3 major surgical procedures in a single month. She would later describe planning her wedding from a hospital bed. That wedding still happened. On November 18, 2023, Christy married her partner of 8 years, John Hawkins, in a ceremony at the Packard Proving Grounds in Shelby Township, Michigan, a 17-acre site established by the Packard Motor Car Company in 1927 and now listed on the National Register of Historic Places. 160 guests attended. It was, by every account, exactly right for them: automotive history, motorcycles, genuine romance. Christy has been open about her health journey on social media in a way that has resonated with people dealing with similar conditions. She documented the eye surgeries, the thyroidectomy she eventually underwent, and the mental toll of watching her appearance change while working in front of cameras. In January 2024, she returned to HGTV for Battle on the Mountain, a comeback that her fans treated as the moment they had been waiting for. Today she is working on her Motor City built business in Detroit, building a 1998 BMW M3 into a track car, holds her SCCA race license, and shows no signs of reducing her pace. Rachel DeBarros joined All Girls Garage later than the original trio, and her story is interesting precisely because it bucks the conventional narrative of the dismissed cast member. Born on August 4, 1978, in Washington, D.C., to Brazilian parents, Rachel grew up watching her uncle work in his auto body shop and developed a mechanical curiosity that existed alongside, rather than instead of, her other ambitions. She attended Ohio University, graduating with a marketing degree in 2000, a choice that reflected the dual track she would run for years. While building her own boutique creative agency, Purple Star Media, in 2006, she was simultaneously training as a mechanic and working toward master technician certification. She began a YouTube series called Gearhead Diva to document her DIY automotive work, and that series is what caught the attention of Motor Trend, with Bogey and Christy reportedly involved in identifying her as a potential addition to the cast. For 5 seasons, Rachel was a genuine contributor to the show, not just as a host but as an executive producer. Her background in marketing and content gave her a perspective on the production side that the other hosts didn't necessarily share, and her technical skills were real: electrical systems, engine builds, restoration work. On April 6, 2019, she posted on Facebook to announce she was not returning for the new season. She was direct about it not being personal and expressed gratitude for the experience. She kept posting photos with her former co-hosts to signal that no conflict was involved. The reality, as multiple sources have since suggested, appears to be that Motor Trend made a decision to refresh the cast, a practice the network had used before, including with Jesse Combs and with Heather Storm on the related show Garage Squad. Rachel moved on quickly. Gas Monkey Garage's Richard Rawlings publicly signaled interest in bringing her into the Fast and Loud orbit. She appeared as a STEM expert on Season 5 of Strange Evidence on the Science Channel. She has continued running Purple Star Media and Wonder Spawn, a maker and STEM entertainment brand focused on interactive content. Her IMDb biography describes her professional identity now as someone whose passion is telling stories through my hands, working across cars, home improvement, electronics, robotics, and animatronics. The expected blockbuster solo show never materialized in the way fans had anticipated, but Rachel's definition of success has always been broader than television. She remains active, inventive, and very much in the arena.